Hello everybody, MegazardX here, back at it again to give you another very exciting collection reflection video where I take the time out just to go through my whole entire gaming library, whether it be a game, a limited edition, could be a console itself. I just decided to pick something off the shelf each and every week. And for this week's topic, we're going to be talking about none other than Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Because with this game right here, man, this was a freaking phenomenal game. I can't say how much I love and appreciate this game. Even looking back at it, this game came out all the way back in 2017, and originally I bought the physical edition, not physical, digital edition. Bought that, and years later went back and got the collector's edition because of how impactful it was, at least for me though. So that is going to be the topic for this week's discussion though. So if you hadn't already done so, make sure to go and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into this video. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, what am I going to do without you? Because like all things, it's story time. So at least with this game, I really didn't have any experience with the Xenoblade Chronicles series overall as a whole, because originally we know the first game released back around 2010-ish or so for the Nintendo Wii. I had no idea that that game even existed. I did not know about Project Raincoat, any of that mess. In terms of like getting that game from Europe over here in America, I had no recollection or knowledge of it, period though. But I do remember on that fateful day, was it that January presentation for the lead up with what could be all the games announced for the Nintendo Switch. Like we knew Breath of the Wild was coming, we knew ARMS, we knew about Splatoon, the new Mario Odyssey and stuff. But then one of the big flagship games having to be Nintendo's JRPG was Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And I was looking over there at that game and I was like, wow, that game looks kind of big. I was like, at the time I played, a handful of RPGs. Like I think this one probably opened up the floodgates to me playing a whole lot more RPGs after the fact though. But up until this point, I've been primarily always only on Nintendo consoles. So I hadn't played a lot of RPGs outside like Mario and Luigi related stuff though. And if you count Pokemon and stuff. So I was looking at this game, I was like, it does look big. It does look impressive, but I don't know if it's for me. And then I had an old friend, Mario. He was a big candidate for Xenoblade Chronicles, and he was the one at the time pushing me heavily and extensively saying, hey, you gotta play Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because Xenoblade Chronicles 1 was freaking amazing and stuff. And I was like, I don't know. So Nintendo was pretty good about showcasing off their games at Treehouse events where they just go through and play through a small little section out of the game. And that's where I started to pay attention to it, started looking at more footage, hearing some reviews, some impressions and stuff. And I wasn't still quite sold on the game until literally I won a giveaway for this game for a digital copy of the game. If it weren't for that giveaway, I don't know if I ever would have jumped into this game, or maybe as soon as this game happened to release though. But nonetheless though, I managed to do it. Didn't manage to get this shiny limited edition until years later though, but I did manage to have that digital code though, so I was grateful for that though. But at least when I was going through that game, I was just genuinely impressed about the scope and the size of the world. I have not played a single game like this up until this point though. Obviously, there's like 10 major chapters throughout this whole entire story though. So with it being a JRPG, you have the combat and you had the storytelling as well. So let's go ahead and talk about the combat first. So at least with this combat, I don't think I played anything like this. Like I'm used to my traditional turn-based RPG. I knew about action RPGs at the time as well. So I was like, I'm used to that, but this was a little bit different. It was an action-based, but you had commands on the side. So you would hit either like A, B, X, or Y or something like that. And then maybe mess around with some stuff on the D-pad as well. And it was weird having auto attacks that you constantly kept doing, but then you had these things called arts that you were able to hit, and then you string those up with combos and stuff like that. And the one thing I did not like about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 a lot is the way how they did their tutorials, which they did better in subsequent games, such as like Xenoblade Chronicles 3, where I felt like they were giving you a tutorial almost like every few minutes, at least when you first started up that game though. Believe it or not, I was still learning things up until the final boss of this game. And I was kind of shocked because, there was a thing that was called like, bursting these infinity things, and you have to burst and make these parts of the chain attack that allow you to do even greater damage. while you're fighting that boss. And I felt like I needed to learn that. And somehow I just miraculously did it and had no recollection of it. And I was like, wait, I could have been doing this the whole entire time. I was like, "Bruh." But anyway, combat is cool once you know and have a full grasping of it, though. However, getting to there, that was probably a little bit of the frustrating part. But we also got to talk about those summonings that you're managing to do for the blades. And it's not necessarily like, you just summon it, get it, or whatever. Like you might be thinking like Final Fantasy or something like that, though. No, 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 no. Gotcha elements were included within this game that was selling for $60 MSRP. That right there kind of rubbed me off the wrong way, because I can't say, and this is me speaking and probably a lot of y'all out there as well, because when you're going through and playing through this game, there are certain really cool blades out there that are like Cosmos that you really want to get, but have an extremely low chance of you being able to pull that character. So when you're looking at that stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, I heard of people summoning for days on this thing. Even up until this day, some people still have not managed to pull that blade. I haven't personally, though. I would love to pull it, though, but I was like, shoot, I ain't gonna be too cracked up about trying to get something that almost seems nearly impossible to do, though. Outside of, the tutorials, the lack of them, as well as, the summoning gacha elements of this game. Outside of those things, I thought the combat was pretty well good once you had your mind wrapped around it, though. Now, in terms of the story, oh my gosh, there's seldom a very few games that I would manage to go through and play through the whole entire game and manage to have a tear coming out of my eye, or maybe just a few screaming from me, because I would say at the very end of the game, once I hit that late chapter 9, chapter 10, and something like that, this game got me to actually tear up. At first, I was just going through, starting off the game. It just seemed like very happy-go-lucky. You just having all of these wonderful relationships between Rex and Pyra at the time. Then you met Nia, and then you wind up finding people like Zeke as well. So I was like, you know what? You're kind of getting your merry band of people, even Morag and stuff. And I was like, you know what? This seems a very fun adventure, though. But then, things don't happen to go your way. You learn about the Aegis. You have to go up to the world tree and stuff. You had this person, Malos, that was constantly against you throughout the whole events of this game and stuff. And you learn about all these different connections, the connections the people have with the blades and the titans that they're actually living on. Like, you literally were floating above a cloud sea. Like, when have you played a video game where usually you have the ocean, and not the ocean, but like sea of clouds, like we're just that high up in the air? You never knew exactly what was below that cloud sea and stuff. So it was like a little bit of a mystery element up in the game as well, though. So I don't know. It was quite a bit of world building and stuff like that. And oh gosh, don't even get me started on the music of this game. Like, there's so many great tracks up in this game. And it's hard to just even call out just one of them, though, like the counterattack. Like I still will go through when I'm doing any kind of work related stuff, or I'm even messing with my YouTube stuff, doing things on my back end, and I might just be playing some Xenoblade music. Like the whole entire series, not even just 2, but 1 and 3 as well. Just freaking phenomenal music, though. And luckily I managed to get some of the stuff over time. Like, I managed to have the music that's actually included within this limited edition right here, as well as I managed to get like the Trinity processor box. So that managed to give me like the soundtracks of the first 3 games, including the DLCs or / the extra stuff they managed to put within each one of these games, whether it have been the new versions or like the remaster for like Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, though. So honestly, it had some really good music, whether it be the day themes, the night themes, the action moments. Like you always had that one climax part where they always play that one iconic theme over and over and over. You know what that theme is if you haven't played through Xenoblade Chronicles 2, though. But nonetheless, though, a freaking phenomenal game. I mean, I felt like the connections that they had within this game with their characters and stuff, like the interactions that Rex had with Nia, or Rex had with Tora as well, though. Like, Tora has some very funny moments up in this game in comparison, like Ricky from Xenoblade Chronicles 1. I was never a fan of him. Throw some stones if you want, though. But I mean, I just felt like the connections between all these characters were much greater than even like in the first game. Even though the first game had a freaking phenomenal story as well, though, don't get me wrong. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 just kind of hit me on a whole nother level, especially when you got to the tail end of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and you saw like literally just one picture of like a family group of people And that literally almost got me to jump up out of the seat. Like I just got emotionally invested within these characters and the story that they were portraying within Xenoblade Chronicles 2. While yes, some of the fan service was kind of out there, like literally look at Mithra and look at Pyra, like come on, man. I'm like that's some nice stuff. I'm just saying. But we know the fan service up in that game, and some people weren't on board with all of that stuff, and some people were like, "Hey, I'm digging this." I was personally digging it though. But regardless, all those thoughts aside, I still think Nintendo did a phenomenal job, and this is what the game that actually put Monolith Soft on the map, at least for me personally. And I was looking forward to every game they happened to make, whether it was like games they made, such as Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition 2, as well as 3, or even the games they happen to support, like Splatoon 2, Splatoon 3. They even supported games such as Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom as well, though. So, you know what? There was a lot of good stuff they managed to do throughout the whole entire life cycle for the Nintendo Switch. However, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 doesn't end there, because we did manage to get some DLC for Torna and the Golden Country. Mind you, that was a whole adventure in and of itself that you were able to buy and literally play it as a standalone game. When have you seen that many DLCs that you can play as a standalone game? That literally went back into the past of what, dealing with people such as Jin and stuff. And then you got to see Mithra's past as well, though, adding a couple of additional characters we didn't get to see, or they kind of tied in with some of those flashbacks we were seeing within the baseline Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And it kind of gave a little more perception to Mithra's character, which some people didn't necessarily like her too much by the end of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. But then by the time they played that DLC, they totally understood the character and the direction of the way how they written that character, though. So honestly, everything was just well written. Everything was well executed. I thought the voice acting was top notch. A ton of comedy up in this game as well, though. And you can't just make this stuff up. Like, I thought this was just a beautiful story from beginning to end, though. And by the time I hit that chapter 10, it just really hit me some kind of way. I just gotta say, like, gosh dang. So fast forward all the way to today, and I managed to pick this limited edition up. I think it was like probably about a year or so ago, definitely before or right around the time Xenoblade Chronicles 3 managed to come out, because I just owed it in myself. I was like, I just love this game so much. It brought me within the franchise of Xenoblade Chronicles. I was like, I had to go and pick this up. Unfortunately, I do not have an unboxing of this one on the channel, so I don't know, maybe I'll do a retrospective unboxing in the future. Who's to say, though? But this is one of the few in my collection I have not managed to unbox. I'm taking care of this sucker. Like literally, I got this thing in like an acrylic plastic box. Hence, you seeing all the shine and sheen up on this thing, though. Just the reflections off of this, though. But this game has hit me on a whole nother level. And there's not a lot of games that can actually manage to get me to tear up when I hit the very tail ending of the game. And I think that just kind of sums it up in a nutshell, that Monolith Soft kind of went all out within this game. And then just seeing all of that stuff concluded up within, Future Redeemed, within the latest DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I'm like, I just wonder exactly where does the series kind of go from this point forward. While yes, technically every one of these games between 1, 2, 3 tell an individual story, there are things that actually fluidly connect them between those three things, as well as Future Connected, Torn of the Golden Country, as well as Future Redeemed, where it kind of wrapped everything up, though. So overall, Xenoblade Chronicles is such a wonderful series. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in particular is definitely by far my favorite game between the whole three out of the whole entire trilogy, though. I literally went and bought Mithra and Pyra figurines. Like, I'm just that invested within Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in particular, along with their amiibos, and I even had the amiibos actually still within the box. Like, I have a set that's just the 2 amiibos sitting on the shelf and a box that literally has them still sealed up. That's how much I like Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I wish we would have had a Rex amiibo, though. Come on, just give it to me, Nintendo, at some point, though. But I think that basically does it in terms of my little love letter, I could say, to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 right there. So you just gotta let me know down in the comment section down below, what all did you think about this game? Were you like one of those people that managed to play through the game? I know at first the game was a little bit rough in terms of the graphics and stuff. They had to go through, do several different patches, though. But what was there was still gold. It might have had like a little bit of blackness up on it, though. But you just scratch that stuff off and lay that mess to the side, though. You saw that pure gold up underneath that. That's literally what this game was. Y'all just gonna let me know your experiences down in the comment section down below. But that's gonna basically do it in terms of this video, though. And think you can take me. Think you can take me.
Think you can take me? Don't forget. Think you can take me? Don't take me?
I had to put that quote up in there somewhere. There's a lot of good Xenoblade Chronicles quotes, and it just hit me as soon as I was about to wrap up this video, though. Like, oh my gosh. You know what? In the comment section down below, if you played this game, show how you played this game with some kind of quote from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I would love to see them all down in the comment section down below. All right, that's going to about do it right there. So if you really like this video, make sure you're going to hit that like button. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on anything video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. So remember, y'all, until whatever video I make next, see y'all.